Hey guys, Dr. Ben here. Welcome to a Power Pack Brokerpreneur Byte. Get ready to dive into proven strategies for recruiting top talent, retaining your best agents, and skyrocketing sales in the next 10 minutes. I'm your host, of course, Dr. Ben Spears, along with our real estate guru, Matt Vi. Join us as we unravel the secrets to take your brokerage to new heights. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to another episode. How you doing? I'm here with my co-host. I just started with the how you doing. Right. But I was like, people don't,
you jumped around. I couldn't keep
know
up.
who you are. But now I'm here with my co-host. If you haven't listened to this show, Matt Vi. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I thought you were going to call me, what's his name? Well, here's my co-host. What's his name? And we all know that's right. And we all know how he's doing. So let's get right to the topic.
Well, Matt, some people may be listening to this podcast a year from now or 2 years from now, but I want to put this out. We're about 30 episodes in. We have over 600 downloads of our podcast. And last night we got notified that we went to the top 25% of all podcasts by our number of downloads in the last 30 days. So
on Buzzsprout, which is a syndication process, right?
Yep, exactly. So guys, thanks so much for listening. And we love doing this, and we love that you guys are out there and enjoying it.
And podcast land, we love the repeat offenders. Right. So we know that there's a group of people out there that are just, as soon as the podcast comes out, they're grabbing onto it. I really hope that this is helping a lot of people. The coolest part to me is we've talked about a bunch of different stuff. The coolest part is we've hit on some things that even if some people only took one or two things from a couple of podcasts, I'm positive it's making their business better. They're weaponizing some great ideas that are ours and other people that we've shared with, and it's making the industry better. Dude, I love that. You know how I am with that, right? I love my real estate industry. I like it when it gets better. So repeat offenders, keep doing your thing, man. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some people, Matt, maybe out there, and they're like, man, I like reading the newspaper. Right. I don't know. Maybe I'm not into a podcast. Right. I just want to read the newspaper. Right. They may be adverse to change. And it may be just one of those, you know what, Matt? Why don't we just talk about that today? Why don't we at random from that comment that I just made, talk about people who are adverse to change?
I absolutely positively love it. And so I got to let a little secret out though here. Okay. And so this is for the people that we coach, one of the things that we do is there's something whenever I have my first initial sessions with them, there's this thing that's the top 20 things that people that are adverse to change, statements that they make. And I keep that close by when I'm having those initial conversations with people so that if I keep hearing those things. So what I'm going to do is if anybody wants that, because you might be trying to implement change, that we're going to focus on recruiting everybody, but that's not what we're talking about is going to apply to a whole bunch of different things. So if you have to implement new software for contracts in your office, if you have to change your recruiting program, if you're getting a better website because it's going to deliver some leads to people and everything, any of that is going to fall under the umbrella of what we're talking about today. We're going to do it from a context of recruiting because we think that's important, but you're going to be able to take what we talk about today and identify who might be adverse to the change and kind of work through how to help them make those changes. So there's a top 20 list, just like always, just email Ben and I'll send you that top 20 list and the 3 things that you can do if you're trying to implement change that are automatically going to help that change work better in your office. But that's a fantastic topic, Ben. And of course, it's one that's near and dear to our heart because we know how important it is.
Yeah, that's right. And guys, if you want that and you haven't listened to the podcast before and you want my email, or if you don't just memorize my email,
right?
Like everyone in the world should, that is ben@prospectboomerang.com.
Fantastic. And we'll get that guide out to you. So are you adverse to change, right? Are you adverse to change when it comes to recruiting? So there's a perfect place to start on this. Okay. So do you remember the movie, The Incredibles?
You stole that. I was getting ready to
Great minds think alike.
No, yeah.
So there's a movie out there, guys, and there's a bad guy called the Underminer. Okay, and it's in a Disney Pixar movie. It's an incredible movie called The Incredibles, and it's about a family of superheroes. And one of the bad guys is named the Underminers. And
he's I live beneath you, but everyone is beneath me.
So that's the first thing when you're trying to enact change in your office. Okay, if you're the underminer, I want you to take really close notes on this out there in podcast land. Okay. If you're this guy, you need to take really close notes, because unfortunately in real estate, the only constant is change. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is identifying who that person is to you. And then we're going to talk about how to fix that. So the underminer, it's somebody that doesn't want the idea to completely succeed, or that doesn't want the idea to be completely implemented.
Yeah.
Okay? So that means that they want some part of it to fail, because that proves that what they're afraid of is actually correct.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
or it justifies that what they used to do was good enough.
Right. They find reassurance in the status quo is the reality. And so and they find comfort in that. And so when that happens, when something fails in part, it actually justifies how they've acted up until that point. So that's a big part of what you have to make sure you take into account whenever you're actually dealing with change, is making sure that that you have to let people know that it's okay that you're moving forward from what worked before. And it's okay that you're going to move in a different direction to keep the great things that worked, but the things that didn't work, we're going to have a compelling reason, which is the first thing we want to talk about, right? Have a compelling reason why we're making that change. One,
go ahead.
So no one wants to change just because the market told them to change. Let me say that again.
Right.
No one wants to change just because they're being forced to, because the market said to change. Because you know what the market doesn't do? The market doesn't give you a phone call on a Friday and say, hey, you know what, on Monday, we're going to do everything a lot different. Market doesn't make that phone call. The company's the one that has to make the phone call. The broker's the one that has to make that phone call. The other things that happen is the ones that have to make that phone call. But it's really driven by the market. Most of the time, that type of thing is driven by the market. So you have to show a compelling reason why you're making that change. Ben?
Yeah, and that's the same thing with your marketing, right? There was a time when I was a chiropractor, it seemed every week someone was coming in, and this shows a little bit of my age, Matt, for a change. Someone was coming in and saying, the Yellow Pages just got a website, right? So we can put you in the Yellow Pages and on our website, on the World Wide Web. And the last time anyone has ever come into your, and as broker owners, you probably experienced that too.
Oh, yeah.
80s, 90s, really early, maybe to mid 2000s. When's the last time anybody came in and tried to sell you a Yellow Page ad?
Yep.
But there was a time when you were like, how many Yellow Page ads can I buy?
Right.
How many things in the newspaper? How many? It's even getting to a point where it's even a website is like obsolete. But people don't like it. They get romantically involved with those things.
Right.
And as I like to say from a marketing standpoint, and if you're one of those people who's adverse to change or an underminer or whatever you want, then you may be still purging money into the Yellow Pages.
Hey guys, this podcast is powered by Prospect Boomerang.
We all know broker owners struggle with profitability. Prospect Boomerang compounds your profits by recruiting the best agents to your brokerage.
For consistent growth, visit prospectboomerang.com.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And part of the reason why is because they relate back to the success they had to the Yellow Pages. They remember that time when somebody called out of the blue and called for the Yellow Pages. And so that's a big part of what the issue becomes, is that they started to have a certain amount of success with that. So you and I have talked a bunch of times before, and this is a side note. This isn't one of the things to change. This is just something that comes up in conversation because you and I have experience in dealing with this kind of stuff. One of the things that happens is people don't track their metrics. They don't track certain things. And so what they remember is that one thing that happened out of the blue. The person says, oh yeah, I called out of the Yellow Pages, or I called off of your website, or I called off of whatever it was. And that sticks. And literally that justifies them doing that for years.
Oh yeah, I got that call that time.
That's right. And I know that worked because that agent 6 months later called me back, and it was because I was doing whatever it was and I did, and they wanted to join the office, and they're forgetting about all the other pieces in between because they didn't measure their metrics. Okay. Because they didn't pay attention to them. And so if you're measuring your metrics, if you're really paying attention to it, then the change that's happening is not that much of a surprise. That's the reality, but that's a whole different conversation, right? We're not going to.
Absolutely.
So number one is you got to have a compelling reason, right? So if you're making a change with everyone, whether you're the broker and you're saying, hey guys, listen, we're gonna go into a mode of growth with our brokerage here, right? We're really gonna step into the next direction because I want to make sure that we're surrounded by people that are like-minded, blah, 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 fill in the blank, right? And you're talking to your staff and your agents and whoever it is, your other owners or the accounting department or whoever it is, you're talking to everybody about this. If you just say the market's making us change, dude, you just lost. If you say, hey, this isn't what I want to do, but I have to, in order for us to stay relevant, this is what we're going to have to do, you just lost. You better
because
not
a lot
say
of leaders, a lot of leaders will do that to try and, especially with amiable
Deflect.
personalities.
Deflect.
Yeah, and yeah, they're trying to fit in with the group. Like, guys, I'm like you. Like, I get it. I don't want to change either.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Here is the market, guys.
It's not my fault.
Yeah.
That actually means that you're trailing.
Yep.
What you're actually telling them is that you're trailing. I'm
Yep.
following and I'm being forced into something because I'm following.
Yeah, and
So
people don't want to follow that leader.
they don't. And they don't make that decision sitting there in the sales meeting.
Yeah.
Right. But that just adds to, so we say this all the time whenever we're talking to people. I don't know how much we say it on the podcast. An agent every day is either one step closer to leaving the office, walking out the door, or they're one step closer to sitting their ass back down in their desk and getting back to work. They're one step closer to leaving or one step closer to sitting back down in their desk. And of course, figuratively, not literally.
Right.
Every day you have to give them a reason to sit their ass back down in the desk. That's what you have to do. You've got to say, pat them on the back. It's going to be okay. Come over here, have a seat.
I've got a plan.
That's right. I've got a plan. That's exactly right. The evil market is not chasing me into doing something that you and I don't want to do. So we're just going to have to figure out how to comply. That's not what they want. That's going to cause them to take that one step closer to the door. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you're working on something. We've done some things with Dot Loop. I know you're working with something and came to an epiphany, and we're not going to drop that on this podcast, guys. Sorry. But it's future thinking, like it's forward thinking, right? It's much ahead. I'm not reacting to the market. It's, hey, like I know what's going to happen, or at least I have a firm grasp and this is what I believe is going to happen. And here are the action steps that we're going to take. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you take them, right? This it needs to be done by tomorrow, and we'll talk about that. But I know where we're going. Come with me. What's that movie with Owen Wilson where he's like the bodyguard for those kids, and he's like, "This is my wing," and you're underneath it.
Drill bit Taylor.
Yeah, that's what it was. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is my wing, and you guys are here.
That's exactly how they have to look at
it.
That's right. That's exactly how they have to look at it.